What's up, guys? I'm Ryan with Ryan Epps Fishing, and we are finally back out on the water today. Now, on today's video, we're gonna be fishing Cherokee Lake. Now, it's a little bit different Cherokee Lake than the last time y'all saw me here. Today, we have got muddy water, we got high water. The lake has come up about 15 foot or so. We have just been hammered with rain here in East Tennessee, and that's muddied the water. We've had flooding. It has just been, it's been a wet February, let's put it that way. But I think that it has cleared up enough, and this warm rain that we've got the past couple weeks, I think we're gonna be able to put a few in the boat today. So, y'all sit back, relax. Hope y'all enjoy today's video. All right, so we're just gonna start going back in this creek here a little bit. I'm thinking this is gonna be the deal. This creek right here, I've seen it have a little water coming in the back of it, which after all the rain we've had, I imagine it probably does. Now, whether that water's cleaner or not, I don't know. We'll have to see. Temp's 49.4 right here at the mouth, so we'll see what that temp does as we idle on back in through here. Oh, he slammed it. I mean, slammed it. Yep. There we go. It was pretty dead in here. And that last little bit of rain that come down there, these fish just went ballistic in here feeding. And it kind of acts like it's fixing to again. So I switched out and put the rain jacket on. Ooh. Ooh. Go. Ha! There was like 3 hit it there before that one finally got one with hooks in it. You can see though, if y'all been paying attention, which one most of these fish have been going for. That back one right there, it trails just a little bit. I've got that one a different color. Usually that's the one that they'll target. Not always, but usually you can kind of get them to hit which ones you want them to hit. We're gonna get us another one right here in a second. It would not shock me at all for some bass to be in here with them. Oh, like that one right there. That's what we're looking for. Boom! Ha ha! Yes! What'd I tell you? What did I tell you? Boy, he is skinny. That is a skinny fish right there, son. Wow. That sucker right there needs some carbs. Look how skinny that fish is. It'd be tough for that one to get to 2 pounds. He needs to get down there and get on him shad. All right. Now we cooking with gas. Now we cooking. Whoa, come here. Got old Bertha there. Oh man. Tell me that wasn't a slammer. There's you a hybrid. Better net that one. We ain't breaking no rods. Woo. Come here, Bertha. Oh. Oh, big Bertha. Boy, now that right there, folks, is a fat hybrid. That sucker right there has been in here eating. That is a football right there. Whoo! I like it. Oh, do I like it. Got him. Let me tell you something. They are stacked in here. I mean, they are packed like sardines up in this little marina right here. Here we go. There gotta be some more bass in here. Got to be. Just gonna be a matter of, oh. Oh. There we go. That ain't no bass. That was pretty quick. Oh man. Done lost count. There we go. Cherokee Lake hybrid. One just tapped it right there. Are we fixing to slam one? There we go. No bass. White bass. little feller. That rain started there, it kind of got them fired up a little bit. There we go. I still got him? Yeah, I still got him. All right, let's get back in there. Whoo, that is fun right there. We changed creeks. Want to change the scenery there. Never did get them figured out there in that last place. Caught those stripe and caught them stripe and that one largemouth, and that's all we get going there. It started raining pretty hard, so I thought I'd just kind of idle around a little bit, check out a couple of these other creeks. Pulled into this one. It's about the same as the other one. It clears up some in the back. Saw some more bait here in this one than in the other one, so gonna poke around here for a minute, and if we don't get anything here, then we'll go and hit a little main lake pocket up here and get in a little bit more rocky area, see if that rock's holding any more heat, and got a few of them up there on the rocks, so see what we can do. Been a wetting today, I'll tell you that. Got him. Boom. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Ain't no biggie, but maybe we're making a little progress here. Pulled into creek number 3, tied on the DT6. There you go. Switched up colors a little bit. I'm gonna try throwing a little chartreuse blueback, and it's right here about, I don't know, 50 yards off the main channel. There's number 1. I like it. Oh, I had it hung on the rock there. Popped her off, and there he was. There we go. We got to retie. Got him. That's a better one. There we go. Oh, yes. what I'm talking about. There you go. There's us another one. We're making progress. All right, guys, so let's talk about what worked today. Now, a little different scenery out here right now. We had to change the venues up for this exit here. It started pouring down rain out there on Cherokee. Everything we had was wet. And at one point there, the power cord for the GoPro was actually smoking. So, not good. I thought it'd be best if we packed everything up, come back out here today when it was a little drier out here, and go over this stuff, how we caught them. So, to start things off, y'all saw me doing a lot of creek fishing. We were checking these creeks. We were checking for clean water, checking for warm water. The deal was most of these creeks we went in, and we targeted 3 primarily, had cleaner water in the back of them. Now, surprisingly, most of the fish that we found, if not all the fish we found, were in the first third of those creeks. And I think that's primarily just a deal of those fish pulling out off the main channel, just because of how muddy the water has been out there and the high flow that we've been getting through the lakes due to all the flooding and stuff. I think it's pushed a lot of those bait fish off the main channel and pushed them back into those creeks a little bit. And so the bass and the white bass and hybrids and stuff like that, a lot of them have followed them in there. So the first thing that we got on there in creek number 1, we started catching some hybrids, started catching some white bass, and even caught our first largemouth of the day back in creek number 1 back there around the marina. A lot of floating docks and stuff like that adjacent to some deeper water. And they were using that to push those bait fish up, and they were feeding in there really good, especially when we would get one of those rain showers. And what I was targeting them with back in there was an Alabama rig. So let's talk some Bama rigging here. Now, to start off with, let's start with the Alabama rig that I was throwing. Now, this is a cheap one. You can find it pretty much anywhere that you go, all right? That's the Alabama rig we was throwing today. That's a Yum Flash Mob Junior. Very inexpensive, cheap umbrella rig that you can go out there and throw around in. If you know, this is something you want to start doing, start playing around with, this is a good bet to start out with. Now, I do break a lot of these, but when you're talking about white bass and hybrids and stuff like that, they bend these things out and everything all the time. So on a day like yesterday where we're catching a lot of hybrids and stuff, you know, I'm going to get a few uses out of this, and then I'm just going to throw it away and pull out a new one. But Yum Flash Mob Junior, that's the rig that we were throwing. Now let's go ahead and show you how I rig one of these up. So you pull this thing out of the pack here, and you can put a whole bunch of different swim baits on here, all right? Kitech Swing Impact Fats work really good. Kitech Easy Shiners, the Zoom Swimming Fluke Juniors, I throw them on there a little bit. These are actually Strike King Rage swimmers. All right, that's what I had, and that's what we put on there. There you go right there. Now, these are the 3.75s that we got on there right now. Good cold water option right here. And, you know, we just got through saying we had some muddy water, some stained water conditions. So, starting out with these outside ones, we just got a basic shad pattern. That's like a green gizzard shad color. It's a little bit darker on the top, got your dark emerald green there, and then it lightens up there on the bottom. Not a translucent color, not a sexy shad color, something like that you normally see me throw a lot on our lakes and stuff around here when we're talking about these small swim baits. I want a little bit darker color for that stained water. Now, you're gonna have one center line here that's going to trail the other ones. And on that one, I like to put a different color on, all right? I want that one to stand out. And if you noticed, most of those fish, 90% of them, will target this swim bait right here. So on that one, when we're talking about stained water like we had, I got a little green pumpkin color on there. That's green pumpkin, got just a hair of blue in it. Not that that matters whatsoever. But a green pumpkin one right there, just a little bit darker, and it's going to help it stand out from these other ones, okay? Now, in the state of Tennessee, you're only allowed to run 3 hooks on your Bama rigs, okay? So, what I like to do when we're talking about distributing this weight out, you want to kill this bait out to where it runs straight. So these bottom 3 right here are the ones that I'm going to put my actual heads in. And that weight's going to vary a little bit depending on what you're wanting to do. But for yesterday, how I like to kill these weights out is on these bottom 2 right here, I've got 1/4 ounce heads, okay? Go up 1 right there for your tailing line. I've got an 1/8 ounce head. And then on your top 2 up here, these are my 2, since this is a 5-arm rig and we can only have 3 hooks. My top 2 up here have got no heads in them whatsoever. Now I'm putting those on there with these owner center pins. All right, that's the M size center pins. These work great. All right, the swim bait head that you see on there, you know, I don't run a lot of really nice swim bait heads on these rigs because you're going to lose a lot of them, and swim bait heads get expensive. So this is a Strike King Squadron head right there. That's a good swim bait head. It's affordable. You can find them most anywhere. They've got decent hooks in them. They run good, and they're not going to break the bank. So naturally, they make a really good Alabama rig swim bait head. That's a Strike King Squadron head right there. Okay. Now, the other thing that I do, especially when I'm using those Squadron heads, they don't have a lock spring on them, a screw lock. I'll take me a little bit of super glue, just put me a little dab of super glue on those Rage Swimmers before I push them up against that head. Keeps everything really tight up on there, and you're not having to worry about them throughout the day. The rig that I was throwing my Alabama rig on today, 7'6" Duckett Ghost heavy. You're gonna need a pretty stout rod for this, but don't go and get you a 10-foot broomstick to throw this on. You need a little tip in that rod to be able to flick those baits out there. The rod's got to be able to load a little bit. That's a really heavy bait. For the most part, you're just lobbing it, all right? But if you get a rod with a little bit of tip to it to where it'll load, you can really sling that bait out there as heavy as it is. So that's the rod that I'm throwing it on right there. Now, the reel. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, this is an antique right here. I've been using this reel since I was a youngin'. I've had this reel a long time. It's a tank, and I'm sure right now you could probably go on eBay and find it on there for about $10 somewhere. This is ancient stuff right here, but it is a tank. This is an old Quantum classic right here. It is a 1420 MGC. And that sucker right there was on the discount rack back in 2000 probably. But it actually makes a pretty decent Bama rig reel because it's a very low speed reel. It's a 5.1 to 1. All right. I like the slower speed reels for this, so in the winter time I can creep those Bama rigs down there close to the bottom. I like a deep spool when I'm throwing this. And this old reel right here just happens to have that. So it makes a pretty decent Alabama rig reel right there. Now, the line that I'm using, you're going to need a pretty stout line for this. This is 20-pound Sunline Supernatural Mono. All right. Throwing monofilament on my Bama rig, mainly because of the little bit of added stretch that mono gives me. You know, my setup is not 100% ideal for this. I don't have a dedicated rod or anything like that to my Bama rigs, and that monofilament, that little bit of stretch in that monofilament gives me just a little bit of play on those hard casts and on those hard hook sets. That just gives you just a little bit of give and a little bit of buffer to keep you from popping that line. Now, you also saw me put some fish in the boat out there cranking. And what I was doing was going back into those creeks. A lot of those primary points going into the creeks and those secondary points, I was finding those that had rock on them. And we caught some fish out of a pocket that laid out very similar to that too. A lot of rock in there. Stained water, cold water, that rock's gonna hold heat, and those bass will pull up on those rocks, especially in that stained water. They'll pull up there fairly shallow. This is a Rapala DT6. I'm sure you all have seen that bait before. I think everybody in the world throws it. There you go. Get us a little line out here so we can work with it. Now, the color that we ended up dialing in on right there, chartreuse blue back. That's an all-time favorite color for me. It's a color I always have in the boat. It's a staple. And in muddy water, that color right there is really gonna shine. So that's what we ended up throwing. That's what we ended up catching them on. And worked out really well. Now I have picked up a new rod that I'm slinging some of these smaller crankbaits on, and so far I'm really happy with it. That's a Duckett Micro Magic Pro 6'9" medium. Now that's really lightweight stuff right there, but what I like about that 6'9" over what I normally throw, the 7 foot and ups, is that 6'9", you can really flick that thing and you know, sling it over into these places in really tight quarters, especially if you've got other people in the boat with you, or you got somebody else fishing on the front deck with you. That shorter 6'9" rod really opens up some possibilities for you. It really lets you get that bait into some tight places. And I've really enjoyed using this rod. That medium action is just about perfect for that DT6, and I'm really starting to like this setup right here a lot more than my 7'6" medium heavy cranking rod that you all see me throw a lot, that Duckett Ghost. I have found myself wanting to throw them on this even more than that other one, especially these smaller wood baits like the DT6, DT4, stuff of that nature, small square bills. Now, the reel that I've got on here, this is a Diawa Tatula 103 to 1 gear ratio reel. I like the 6-speed reels in that 6 to 1 gear ratio range. I like that for my small body crankbaits. That's something that you're going to see across the board. That's usually my go-to. The line that I've got on here, that's Sunline Assassin fluorocarbon. I'm throwing 10-pound test fluorocarbon on there right now. 10, 12-pound test fluorocarbon, whatever your preference, but for me, it's always going to be fluorocarbon. So that's all I got for y'all today, guys. I know it's been a little bit since we put a video out. It has been horrendous here in this region. The month of February has not been kind to us. Rain, flooding, it's been awful. You can see Douglas Lake here behind me. It is still muddy as can be. Fishing has been tough. I think February is one of, if not the toughest month of the year here in our region to be able to go out and consistently catch fish, just because there's so much that's changing across the board throughout the month. It can be very difficult. So we hadn't been putting a lot of fish in the boat. Hadn't been getting to fish a lot this month. Been working a whole lot out in the real world, out on our real job. And so we've been a little bit behind, but I appreciate y'all for hanging in there. I'm not going anywhere. It's just been a busy month for me, so we're going to get back on track with the videos. We have got the pre-spawn coming up, we got the spawn, we got all that good stuff just right around the corner, so I am really looking forward to that. We're going to put a lot of fish in the boat coming up here, so y'all stick around and bear with us there, and we're gonna get back on track here on the channel. So that's all I got for y'all today, guys. If you like the videos, make sure you go hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. That's going to let you all know when I put out all my new videos. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below. I will get back to y'all with any answers that I can give you. Until next time, y'all make some time, get out there on the water and catch you a few. I'm Ryan Epps. Y'all have a good one.